have a question on the report as well with regard to what it says about Gaza. And it says that war crimes have been committed by Israel and Hamas. And I wonder if this building is actually looking into those allegations to determine their validity, like you guys looked into allegations of war crimes in Ukraine. And if there isn't an assessment happening in this building, who the U.S. government is relying on for that assessment to be made.
The fact that it's taking so long leads a lot of people suggesting that U.S. has a double standard when it comes to applying the law with Israel. Does the U.S. have a double standard?
Mr. Secretary, does the Geneva Convention apply to Gaza? Reporters have been asking this for months and not gotten an answer.
Hello, Mr. Secretary. I have two questions. One is about the report, but let me quickly go to your phone calls last night. You've had two important phone calls with Israel's Benny Gantz and Yoav Gallant, who both strongly objected to upcoming punitive action from U.S. on specific Israeli military unit over human rights allegations. Have those phone calls changed your mind? When will you announce the action? And then coming back to the report again, in this report, you have a sentence saying Israelis operating in Gaza took no publicly visible steps to identify and punish officials accused of committing rights abuses. The accusations about IDF's military conduct in Gaza have piled up. They include using food as a weapon, targeting civilian infrastructure, indiscriminate bombing, something even the president has said is taking place. So I'm wondering, we know you've got ongoing processes about this, but could you tell us why is it taking so long to make a definitive assessment about these? And the fact that it's taking so long leads a lot of people suggesting that U.S. has a double standard when it comes to applying the law with Israel. Does the U.S. have a double standard? Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Amira. Let me start with the last part of the question. Do we have a double standard? The answer is no. As this report makes clear, in general, as we're looking at human rights and the condition of human rights around the world, we apply the same standard to everyone. And that doesn't change whether the country in question is an adversary, a competitor, a friend, or an ally. And that's hugely important. With regard to the Leahy Law report that I think you were referring to at the outset, this is, I think, a good example of a process that is very deliberate, that seeks to get the facts, to get all the information, that has to be done carefully, and that's exactly how we proceeded, as we proceed with any country that is the recipient of military assistance from the United States. And again, the same standard applies. I don't have more to say about it today, but I think you'll see in the days ahead that we will have more to say, so please stay tuned on that. On Gaza itself, a few things. First, from day one, we've been working to do everything we can to try to increase protection for civilians, as well as, you know, to facilitate the delivery of humanitarian assistance for the Gazans who so desperately need it. When it comes to allegations of incidents of whether it's violations of international humanitarian law, rights abuses, you name it, we have processes within the department that are looking at incidents that have been raised. Those processes are ongoing, and here again, it's important that we take the time to do our best to get the facts, to get the information, to do the analysis. It's very challenging to do this in real time, and most of, as you'll see, if you look back at other places where we've made determinations ourselves, usually it takes time to do that to get the information.
Can you at least provide a timeline for any
So
of
I'm
them?
not going to give you a timeline except to say that these efforts are ongoing, and when we feel that we've made that we have the facts, we've been able to do the analysis, we'll make known the findings. Similarly, though, when we see reports of incidents, we also take these directly to, in this case, the Israeli government, and ask for an explanation, information about what did or didn't happen. That too is an ongoing process. And it's, I think, very important to make sure that countries know that we're watching this very, very carefully. But as I say, on the Leahy piece of this, more to come in the coming days.
Kylie?
Thank you for doing this, Secretary. I have a question on the report as well with regard to what it says about Gaza. And it says that war crimes have been committed by Israel and Hamas. And I wonder if this building is actually looking into those allegations to determine their validity, like you guys looked into allegations of war crimes in Ukraine. And if there isn't an assessment happening in this building, who the U.S. government is relying on for that assessment to be made.
Yeah, so Kylie, as I said, we are looking into reports, incidents that are brought to our attention, and we have a process to do that, particularly if there are questions about whether U.S. arms have been involved, and that is ongoing, and we're continue to be focused on that. Every situation, every country is different. For example, the case of Ukraine, where we have made certain determinations. Totally different situation than in Gaza. The Ukrainians, first of all, themselves were not in any way a legitimate target, the way, of course, Hamas is in Gaza. They were also not embedding themselves with civilians, hiding in and under apartment buildings, mosques, hospitals, you name it. And in addition, in the case of Ukraine, when Russian forces, for example, withdrew from Bucha, we were able to see, the world was able to see very plainly what had happened, and we were able to get the evidence. So each of these situations is different, and we have to do our best to collect the facts and follow the facts, and that's what we're doing.
So ultimately, just to be clear, this building will make its own determination if war crimes are being committed by Israel or Hamas or any of those other groups.
We make our own determinations, and of course, there may be other bodies that do the same, but we make our own determinations. But importantly, in the case of Israel, Israel has and has demonstrated the capacity also to look at itself. And again, this is what separates democracies from other countries. The ability, the willingness, the determination to look themselves. It's my understanding that they have many open investigations based on reports that have come forward with allegations about abuses of human rights or abuse of international humanitarian law, laws of war, etc. So in the first instance, I think that's the most important thing, that any of our democracies have to make sure that we're policing ourselves, holding ourselves to the standards that we're asking of others. I believe Israel's in the process of doing that based on knowledge of open investigations that they have. And as I said, when incidents are brought to our attention, we look at them, and particularly if there's a possibility that U.S. arms were used in those incidents. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Secretary, does the Geneva Convention apply to Gaza? Reporters have been asking this for months and not gotten an answer.